Hello, beach friends. Yes, today we are going to that secret spot around those jetties in South Marco Island. Hang in there with me. I will show you exactly where I am. So it's kind of special because you can only get to this spot at low tide. Otherwise, you might be trespassing, which I do not encourage you to do. So I'm taking a peek of everything that's here, but I'm not going to spend too much time here because I have somewhere else to be. Well, it'd be terrible for me to leave that true tulip right there. So we are going to grab that. But look at this. Yeah, I just suspect based on this, we're probably going to have a pretty good day at the beach looking for all sorts of treasures. Now it is a little bit cloudy out, but that's okay. It's not going to impede me from finding and looking and seeing all sorts of really, really cool stuff at the beach. And in addition to all these other swell things that we are going to find on the beach, I am going to talk a little bit about shark eyes. Shark eyes are a type of moon snail that we get down here, and we have true shark eyes and false shark eyes. So we'll talk about that and everything else I find. So if you're ready to see what's out there for us today, let's go to the beach. Okay, we're here at South Marco Island, and a lot of the stuff that was pushed up on the beach, I mean, this looks so great, but I want to get around that jetty because that's where usually all the really great stuff is. So this is Marco Island, and then I'm going to be showing at the south end of the island here. Now, when you zoom into the south end of the island, this is where I parked. This is where kind of all those shell piles are. And then I'm going to get around that jetty, around those rocks, and then kind of make my way over to this. This is the area that I want to go shelling in. So I know it seems a little weird to like leave all these shells behind. Well, maybe not all the shells behind. I'm just checking out this lightning well to make sure there's nothing in there. Yeah. No, we're not going to leave that behind. So if I saw anything really good, I did slow down. But then I hustled over. So now at this point, I can tell the sand is a lot more wet. I'm approaching the area I want to get to. A baby's ear. Oh, that's a great sign. Oh, that's fantastic. You lovely little thing, you, and you're perfect. Oh, that makes me happy. All right, so, and we haven't even got to the good spot yet. And you know what? Right about this time, I was kind of thinking, well, maybe I shouldn't be sharing all my secret spots because there's a lot of people here, but I suspect this has probably been a good spot for lots of people for a long time. Now look at the tide, -9.2 right now, so it's super duper low, and it's 68 degrees. There is a special weather statement, which is really this fog that's going on, but that's okay. The fog is not going to prevent us from finding the shells on the beach. And that lady there, yeah, I'll tell you a little story. She was serious. She knew what she was doing. She was acting like she was going, she knew where she was going. She had a bucket with her. So I was kind of keeping an eye on her. Look at how quickly she moved up the beach. Sunray Venus. Yeah, I don't think I come home without a Sunray Venus pretty much every time I come to the beach. So I do. They're not all that uncommon. I just kind of like them. All right, so I'm checking out, and I know it looks it looks a little chunky. Look at this little chunk here. So this is a short spine sea urchin, and just moving just a little bit, just a little. It's 68, so it's not terribly cold right now. And they graze on seagrass urchins, so they are true vegetarians. And they probably should be in the water. They can tolerate being out of the water for a little while. So I'm just gonna, yeah, there you go, friend. Good luck. Leave them back in the water. Oh, that's pretty. Oh, and it's whole too. Sometimes when you only see a piece of it, let's wash that off. Oh, that's lovely. Now that's a rough scallop. A lovely peach rough scallop. Oh, guys, guess what this is? All right, so if you said apple murex, I'd say you are super duper close because it has the colorings of an apple murex, but this is actually a rose murex. You can tell the shape. It's not in great shape. It's kind of, but I can tell. It's actually really beat up, but that's okay. Still fun. A fun rose murex. Not pretty. This is a quahog. These quahogs, very common. I used to find them all the time. I could not be bothered, and now all of a sudden they just really, look at the cool zigzags and the ridges on it. Neat, neat shell. Now this is an apple murex. It does have the coloring kind of that rose murex that we picked up. So that rose murex was a little weird. Oh, you know, it'd be cool to find an apple murex, the color of a rose murex. That would be cool. And actually, some shells are a different color. I will talk about that eventually. This is a horse conch. It's a great shape. Okay, maybe not shape, like the size. The size is perfect. I wish we had met sooner. In the background, you see the pelican. Yep, those are diving. The brown pelicans dive for their food. But here in the foreground, we have a snowy egret. And they kind of stir up things with their feet, and then they'll go ahead and eat the fish and shrimp and crabs and whatever kind of delicious things might be in the water for them. Now, this bird is likely, it probably has its breeding plumage. They get longer feathers when they're breeding, and you'll kind of see the wind will kind of push its feathers around. It's a little bit longer than usual, so I think so. I was actually really surprised. It just walked right past me like I wasn't there. So pretty. It's probably used to hanging out with fishermen, to be fair. So that is a beautiful snowy egret. All right, we have another critter here, just kind of washing around in the waves. This is a sea star, although I know we like to call them starfish. Technically, it's a sea star. And this one is called a small spine sea star. I don't want to, take it out of the water and, I'm handling it lightly. Look at its little tube feet, and it actually held back onto me again. So you'll see when I try to put it back in the water, it had held on. I just think they're so neat. Yeah, it's holding on to me. I'm having a little handshake with this sea star. Beautiful little critter. So we're gonna call that one Patrick. All right, Patrick, you have yourself a good day. Now, at this point, I've kind of determined that there's not all much over here. I'm absolutely shocked. So I'm gonna go back by those shell piles that I saw earlier. So I'm gonna, slow myself down to pick up whatever might be interesting along the way. Ooh, like this soft coral. That is cool. I've never seen anything like that on the beach anyway. It's kind of like a little tree, but it's not. That's probably soft coral. Really cool. So yeah, I'll hold on to that. I want to put that in my little delicate container, my container with delicates. Oh, and I just had to show you, look how cute. His little eyeballs, his little trunk. And just move a little slow because it's not like 9,000 degrees out. Now, quick little hi to that gorgeous little fighting conch. Oh, so we don't have, a plethora of different scallops down here, but the ones we do have, I have to say, are kind of pretty. So that is a calico scallop. Very nice. Okay. Oh, I see it. It's a cantharus. So this is a tinted cantharus. Fun little shell. Took me a while to appreciate those, but I definitely like a good tinted cantharus. And this is a chestnut turban. Rather, it's kind of missing its top. Should have a little bit of a top, and the beading is kind of chipped off. Oh, look at that. That is also a cantharus. That is a ribbed cantharus. It's a little weird, like the color's a little off, but still pretty cool. So there are definitely seashells here. It's just not usually, there's a lot more here. So it's a little surprising to me that I'm turning around and leaving and that I'm going to kind of go shell in a different location down here. It's not going to stop me from shelling. I'm just changing my strategy. A beautiful calico scallop. It looks a little broken, but actually it's just a little bent. The shell itself is just a little bent, and that'll happen if the animal was damaged, or maybe there was, the shell got damaged a little. So make sure, check the inside real good. Hermit crabs love hiding in those little horse conchs. So that's a little Florida horse conch. Cute little thing. Oh, now this. So we have this beautiful nutmeg, and I wouldn't have kept it anyway because of that live barnacle, but this is the first time I've seen a hermit crab inside one of these shells. Now, why is it so remarkable? Well, there's like a little spiral pattern inside the shell. And I always thought hermit crabs, they just didn't like that. But I guess, I don't know if this guy was desperate or what. He seems pretty happy. He or she seems pretty happy. Just, going about doing their business. Oh, they're so cute with their little antenna. So this critter has a built-in friend. They can exchange recipes, bedtime stories, all sorts of good stuff. So that's pretty cool. Little hermit crab inside that little common nutmeg. All right, these are the kind of conditions I like to shell in. The problem is there's not a bunch of shells here for me to pick up. All right, so this is a little horse conch. Cute little thing on the orange side. Sometimes they'll be real bright, and we saw earlier a little bit on the yellow side, so that's kind of fun. A Gulf oyster drill, like almost a perfect specimen. What an awesome little shell. Yeah, I'm checking really good on the inside. When you shell in the water, you gotta make sure there's no critters in there. And then that little piece of beach stuff just popped right off. A beautiful Gulf oyster drill. Oh, an arc. This is a mossy arc. Very neat shell. These are also kind of growing on me, the mossy arcs. Looks like, in my opinion, a cross between a red-brown arc and a turkey wing. So for those of you who know your shells, that's what I kind of think when I see that one. Another horse conch. Terrific that it's empty. It's got its cute little white top. Sometimes they call those candy corn. Another cute little horse conch. Oh dear. All right, Mr. Urchin or Ms. Urchin, however you want to roll. You're alive and well. And this one's a lot more greener. That other one we picked up was a lot more on the purple side. So this is also a sea urchin. And we'll just leave you right there. Oh, I know, well, there's no grass there, but maybe some algae. Maybe it's just snacking on algae. Oh, I remember this shell. This is also a calico scallop. Look, oh, it's so pretty. I happen to really kind of like orange shells anyway. I know it's broken, but I'm going to make an exception. It's so pretty. I'm going to keep that lovely calico scallop. I'm shocked. Yeah, so I'm going to make my way back around the jetty here. I thought for sure I would be spending most of my time over on that little sliver there, but there just really wasn't a lot of shells there. So I know that there were shells when we got right on the beach, so I'm going to head over that way. Check in between all these rocks. You never know. So yeah, so now this area here, this is where I'm going to spend a couple of minutes, and it actually ended up being pretty productive. So I get around the corner and okay, that's what I'm talking about. Okay, yeah, I'm feeling good about changing locations. So we have, all right, really nice looking apple murex with all its little bits and pieces. It's empty, nice size, it's beautiful, and a Florida cone. So yeah, this is a little bit more what I was hoping for. So we're going to stay here for a few minutes. Let's see what else is here. Okay, so this is an Atlantic giant cockle. I have been calling these giant Atlantic cockles. Doesn't matter, I don't know. But the right name is Atlantic giant cockle. I'm going to try to reteach myself. A couple more scallops. So we got a calico on the left and a bay scallop on the right. More lovely bivalves. Awesome. Another little nutmeg, and now I know I need to check the inside for hermit crabs. That was cool. I never saw one before. And that's just little tiny shells and whatnot kind of jammed in there. So another cute little common nutmeg. Oh, this is my favorite place to be shelling, like in the water. Oh, cool. All right, got ourselves another apple murex. A little bit of beach stuff. That's fine. So yeah, it's shocking to me. It is early January. That is when I filmed this, and I'm in the water. Now, as it turns out, the water's never really all that cold. It's the darn air. Like once you're wet and then, it's 40 degrees out, that stinks. But if you're wet and it's only like 60 degrees out, it's not so bad. So got a little apple murex. It's missing a couple of its bits and pieces. Oh, there's a crown conch. Cool. All right, it's got some beach stuff on it. I imagine that will pick off, no problem. All right, so we got most of an apple murex and a crown conch. Okay, here we go. So this is a moon snail. This is known as a shark eye. Yes, it has a drill hole in it, something drilled a hole in it. But what I want you to look at is this indentation here. That indentation indicates that this is a false shark eye. The true shark eyes don't have that little scoopy area. And so here, again, that right there. So it's kind of like a depression on that underside of the shell. So if you want to tell the difference between a real shark eye and a false shark eye, you're kind of looking for that depression area. I haven't seen a false shark eye in a really long time. So that is a true shark eye. It doesn't have that little depression area in it. This one too. Also, yep, that is a true shark eye. It doesn't have that little area in it. It took me a minute to kind of like see that depressed area, but if for those of you who really need to know, that's the difference between a real shark eye and a false shark eye. Okay, next up we have, an egg cockle. They're kind of cool. So it's a cockle, but it is an egg cockle. It does kind of look like an egg, I have to say. Not very inventive of a name. All right, what do we got next? Okay, this is also a cockle. This is a yellow prickly cockle. Neat. It wouldn't be so brown. Like if you let that soak in bleach, it'd be a lot more yellow. That brown would go away. Some of that brown is kind of the periostracum, the natural occurring coating on it. So if you were thinking nutmeg, you were correct. Look, oh, it's so beaded. It's so bumpy and pretty. And a bonus shell in the aperture, a little jingle. So we got a 2 for 1. Okay, 2 more little shells. We have a top shell. That's that one on the left, and we have a striate bubble. Little bubble shell on the right. So, you know what? I am finding a lot of different specimens. This is a pretty good shelling over here. That is another Florida cone. Nice specimen. And again, kind of, yeah, I'm glad I moved. Glad I changed locations. Oh, look at the color on that. Some other shells will also be that color. The tinted cantharus, the chestnut turban. I'm blowing in it just to make absolutely sure. Yeah, I wanted to make sure there's nothing in that critter. And then this, or in the shell rather, a little horse conch. I love the bright orange ones. Ooh, another Florida cone. Yay! So cones are cool, man. Cones are really cool. It's a Florida cone. It's not an alphabet. That would be swell, but that's okay. Florida cones are pretty cool too. Oh, here we go. That is a pear whelk. Oh, it's so funny. The first time I tried to ID one, I called it a channeled whelk. Yeah, we don't find those down here. That is a pear whelk. That is just like the first shell we picked up. That is a little orange true tulip. The true tulips, the color ranges are really, really neat. Okay. That was the lady that I said she looks serious. I'll talk about that in a second. I just want to kind of show you where I am, and there are other people around, which was nice. I did ask that lady because she walked a lot further down the beach, and I asked her, was there anything down there? And she was like, no. So I'm glad I turned around. That one area I was just in was, again, very productive, but I'd been there a while. So let's move on to those shell piles, and let's see what else is over here. Cool. Another little Florida horse conch. I'm not going to hear me complain about those. So those are the jetties. I'm leaving those behind me, and I'm going to head back up kind of toward the entrance when I came on the beach. There was all those other shell piles. And we will just see. This is going to be an exercise in seeing what I can find first and what can I find that people left behind. So that is a buttercup lucine. I suspect either nobody cared or I just had first crack at it. I happen to like them, especially if they're really, really buttery. So it's about this point, and I was kind of wondering, like, oh man, did I choose the right beach? I mean, this is fine. It's just really not what I expected. This is a lace murex. It's been hugged by the beach many, many times, but it's kind of nice, just like kind of worn, a beach worn shell. This is my favorite area. I was having a great time where I just was in the water, but the visibility there, yeah, that's just going to be frustrating. So I'm not going to be able to shell in the water here, but that's fine. We'll see, because at some point the tide will be coming back in, pushing shells in, hopefully. Yeah, like that colorful moon snail, also called a gaudy nautica. Yeah, I love those. So I'm super happy. A gorgeous colorful moon snail. Check out this So this is a pen shell. Periodically I'll pick them up and show you guys. They're just not all that interesting to me. This one is massive. Look at that. It looks like a big mermaid tail. Isn't that cool? This is the biggest pen shell I've ever seen. It was just huge. Really neat. So this is a sawtooth pen shell. We have 4 different kinds. I've never found an amber. Never found the amber pen shell, but the other ones I have. Just kind of neat. I was just shocked at how big it was. It was just huge. A huge pen shell. Oh, and a spotted slipper snail. Yep, it's got that little, it's also known as like boat shells because it will float like a little boat or a canoe shell. But that's a spotted slipper. Cool. All right, here's a nice looking shell pile. Let's see what is all here. Well, most of it's these ponderous arcs, frankly. Very, very common, the ponderous arcs. It'll have that black periostracum on it. All those, yep, every single one of those is a ponderous arc. So let's say the majority, except for this yellow prickly cockle. Oh, it's so pretty, so yellow. Yeah, hold on to you. The rest of the mostly cockles, except for this. This is also a prickly cockle, a Florida prickly cockle. So these are mostly arcs, a couple beat up. Oh, here's a white Atlantic simile that is pink. I don't make the names of the shells up. I wish I did though. I'd call that a pink simile, frankly. All right, and that is a calico scallop. And look, you know, you could say, these piles have been worked over by so many people, but you never know what other people are looking for, and you never know what they're going to miss. So look at this. Look at how pretty. So that is a lace murex. I love that little pink top. A little proto-conch. Oh, the shell actually looks almost lavender. Oh, beautiful lace murex. Oh, another lovely calico scallop. Yeah, you're lovely. Oh, and that is a spiny jewel box, but it is alive. So I'm going to take that down to the water. Because you know I like my beach critters. As a matter of fact, you guys know a lot of the stuff that I like. You guys are kind of really involved in my hobby, which happens to be going to the beach and filming my experience and sharing this with you. I love it that I continue to learn, and I found my passion. Now, our beach friend Brian reached out, and he also has a new passion. It is a blog. He's from Michigan, and he's writing it to kind of get through the cold, snowy winter months, and he asked if I wouldn't mind sharing this with you. So I encourage you to get out there and find your passion, and I also encourage you to ask for help. So I am happy to share the word about Brian's blog, beachvibing.com. And on there, you're going to find all sorts of different articles, from the best family and kid-friendly beaches to visit, or 10 beach photos to inspire your day, beach decor, first-time vacation home buyers. So it's got a lot of great articles, so I do encourage you to check it out. Okay, back up here. I'm in the water. I'm up here. I have fear of missing shells. I'm telling you what, the thing, it's real. Lots of pen shells. And again, I already know that this has kind of been combed through by different people. That is a calico box crab carapace, the shell of a calico box crab. I typically find those in the summer. All right, just the top of a fighting conch, I believe. Oh, a little lightning well. I don't think that's only like the second one I think we found today. They're usually pretty common, but finding all sorts of different things today. Definitely not what I expected. Oh, you are pretty. So that's a calico scallop with that little burst pattern, or not really a burst. It's really more of a line. Lovely calico scallop and a bay scallop. Now this one, is it broken? So I'm trying to check it out. I'm like, no, it's just kind of a little bit misshapen on the one side, the fin of it. That little lower left fin. So that is a bay scallop. And a broad-ribbed cardita. That one is gorgeous, like an ombre color. Absolutely beautiful. A lovely broad-ribbed cardita. And it just wouldn't be a trip to the beach without a little bit of beach time. Okay, here is another little pear well. Got a nice little bit of color on it. Yeah, it's lovely. It's funny because lightning whelks I find live all the time. Pear whelks, not so much. I wonder if they're more elusive. Oh, that is pretty. It's almost like a lavender. So that's a lace murex. Beautiful. And a crown conch? Yeah. Yeah, I think that was probably passed over by somebody else. I don't care. I just got some good color on there. So a lace murex and a crown conch. So I tried my luck in the water. Like I said, I've been all over the place. Up in those shell piles, down here in the water. And there are shells all over the place. And frankly, there's a couple people here too. So there is a little bit of competition. And I don't really consider it competition. It's really just we all give each other like a little bit of space. Ah, that's the top of an alphabet cone. But at the end of the day, when there's lots of people here, your chances of finding the good stuff kind of get diminished. That is another Atlantic giant cockle. I have to reteach myself. Sorry about that. If I taught you guys how to say it wrong too, my apologies. It is a Atlantic giant cockle. Oh, this was a little bit of a bummer. These are true tulip egg casing, and we can clearly see the little baby true tulip snails in there. So if there's liquid in there, you know, they could be viable. So I am going to put this back in the water. Now, it does look like some of those egg sacs have hatched. There's little holes in them, but there's tons of little babies. They probably, I don't know. I don't know if they're viable or not. And that's why if I don't know, I'll put it back in the water just in case. What if it only needed like another couple minutes to cook or whatever? So that's where I put the egg casings I think may be viable. Holy cow, that's beautiful. So that is a Florida fighting conch. It's gorgeous. Yeah, I like those. And the orange and the, yep, you are just lovely. As are you, little apple murex. Granted, I found a few today. Oh, but you're still real pretty. Got your little ruffles and whatnot. Lovely apple murex. And then, oh, I see it. You see it? Dead center. Dead center. Oh, hello, Nautica. Yeah. And it always pays to kind of, when you learn your shells, what it looks like from the bottom too, because you never know how that shell's going to be sitting there on the beach. So, yeah, I got some competition, but they all missed it. They missed that gaudy. And this, well, frankly, they didn't miss this because this was alive. So this is a lace murex. I'm trying to see if I can see the critter. I don't see nothing. And they do drill the lace murex shells, but this is an empty shell, so I'm gonna just bring it down to the water. That's what I do with the live stuff, and wish it luck. Now this was kind of neat. So this is another ribbed cantharus. I know it's a little broken, but it's got a weird color. Another weird. It's not really that bright orange, or yeah, it's not the right color, and that just makes it that much more interesting to me. Awesome ribbed cantharus. So yeah, at this point, I've been here a minute. I didn't really have great luck around the jetty, but I made it work. Again, if you happen to get out and it kind of looks like there's lots of people and the shell piles have been picked over, you never know. That is a juvenile fighting conch. Oh, look. And another keeper of a lace murex. So I would encourage you, go ahead, kick around some shells, check out those shell piles, because you never know. So it was not what I expected, but it was still pretty cool. Still happy that I came down here. Could I have done better at another beach? I will never know. But it is what it is. And not for nothing, I still got a pretty decent haul here. So I did pick up a lot of those distosinias and whatnot. The yellow prickly cockles, the Atlantic giant cockles, some Florida prickly cockles. Am I gonna go down? I'm going pretty slow. Yep, those are all, I picked up a lot of cockles. All right, that one, I only got one Venus clam, the calico clam, the buttercup lucine. Oh, there was a bunch of those tiny little horse conchs. They were fun. The bubble, the scallops. Up there, we got some drills. We got the tinted cantharus, calico scallops, some augurs, couple olives, the white Atlantic simile, the mossy arc, the banded tulips, the broad-ribbed carditas, the lace murex, the top shells, crown conch, that soft coral, which was really cool. Then we did have the, not the channeled whelks, the pear whelks, the spiny jewel boxes. We have some Florida fighting conchs above them, the juvenile fighting conchs, a couple of the cones, the baby's ear, the rose murex, that true tulip I first picked up. There's another true tulip over there. So you know what? Like, I am definitely not going to complain. It was not what I expected, but it's still, I made it work. Don't give up. Just keep at it. Thank you. Thank you, Patreons, for helping me pay for gas to drive over an hour to get down, and then the parking and everything. So just thank you so, so very much for supporting me. It means the world to me. And welcome new Patreons. Now, next week, I'm not exactly sure where we're going to go. It's either going to be Sanibel or it's going to be Kais. I just have to kind of peek at the footage. So it's going to be a mystery, and I'm sure it'll be awesome. So you have yourself a great week. Go find your passion. I'll see you again next Sunday.